Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Best Bet. Sadly, it is the last edition of the summer meet, but I hope to be back in a few months for the Breeders' Cup and the Bing season. I am your host, Frank Scatoni. I am streaming live from the private dining room at Ranch 45 across the track on Via de la Valle. Thanks to everyone who stopped by this summer. It's been a real pleasure. It meant a lot to me. People come out to the restaurant, talk horses after this live stream is over. I know I say this every week, but just in case there are any first-time listeners out there, this is not a traditional selection show. We're not going to talk about every race. We are just going to focus on the opportunities on this card to make a decent score. If you're watching live, feel free to leave us a comment or ask us any questions. The show will also be archived on Del Mar's Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube platforms. All right, the timing today couldn't have been any better. Del Mar has teamed up with several data providers and is offering free use of various platforms for today's races. You can go to the Del Mar website to sign up, data on us, and trust me, you will want to sign up after you hear today's guest. He is the 2011 NHC champion and the founder of Optics EQ, the most innovative handicapping platform in the industry. If you are a regular follower of mine, you know how much I rely on optics. I talk about it all the time in these seminars. I call out so many data points when I do my write-ups. I use it religiously. I will not make a bet without using optics, from the pace analysis to the trip notes and everything in between. We're going to talk about all that today. We're going to go over a couple of races. So I'm really excited to have my guest. Welcome, John Doyle. John, how you doing?
Frank, how's it going, buddy? How you doing? Long time no see.
I know. Well, I'm always I'm using the platform, but I never get to see or talk to you anymore because we're both so busy. But it's really good to have you. Let's just jump right into it. You know, it's been a long journey from when you won the NHC, you know, as a horse player to where you are now, you know, still as a horse player, but an innovator and a game changer in horse racing. Can you just give us an idea of your impetus on how optics came about and what made you want to be such a disruptor in the data handicapping industry?
Yeah, well, you know, it's just first it started off with, you know, this is a lot of work to do by yourself. So it's basically pulling a team together to do things. You were involved early on.
Yep.
And it's just kind of to reduce workflow, make things more efficient. That's how it kind of started. And then at some point we wanted to, you know, we saw that we had something. We said, well, maybe we should make part of this retail so that people could enjoy it. And again, educate people on how to play and so forth. So that was one of the impetuses for it. And it's just kind of evolved from there. And it's been exciting, you know, lots of changes probably within this last 6 months, more so than in the last 2 years. Trying to get to things a little bit easier for people to read, trying to get the more color coding and themes and stuff like that. And so I'm excited to show people, like, and I'm glad we joined up with this Del Mar for this free data dump. I think it's going to be exciting. And we'll actually show you the product as we go through it, so you can get familiar. Your audience can get familiar with it. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. The changes that you've made, like you said, just in the last 6 months alone, are staggering. I mean, the color coding, things just pop out at you. It's such a unique way of handicapping. It's so visual oriented, but it's so intuitive. I think about, you know, before this platform existed, when I was younger, I had the bandwidth. I could sit down and work a card for, you know, 3-4 hours. I could do that. There's no way in heck I could do that anymore, nor would I want to. I could sit here and use optics. And I mean, it's so helpful for me because, you know, I play a lot of online contests and there's tracks from all over the country. I don't know anything about those tracks. I can get on optics and I can sit there and I have a pretty good idea within a couple of minutes where I'm going to start focusing my action and start to dig a little deeper. So it's been a godsend for me, and I know it's been a godsend for so many other players out there, and I'm excited to talk about it. We talked about this Data on Us promo that Del Mar is having. Optics EQ is a part of that. Go sign up. we're going to walk you through, from the home page all the way into the platform in just a bit. But before we do that, John, I've been using this since its inception. When you were developing it, it made so much to me. I understood it intuitively, but everybody learns things differently, right? And that's okay. So what advice would you give to a first-time user who may know, where can they start? They don't know what they're looking at. Some people look at it and go, oh, I get this. Okay. Other people are like, I just see it just looks like a work of art to me. Just give us some advice for the people who
Sure.
are going to walk through us today who've never used it before. Just general stuff.
Yeah, we'll show you some of these things too. I mean, there's what we call a vertical or V-bar kind of graph that'll really show you, like based on speed, class, and plot, which is pace, which horse. Because when everyone looks at the plot, they get overwhelmed. Now you can go to opticseq.com and understand kind of how we built the plot and all the rest of the information and how to use it, and it's great. All those videos are good. But if you're like just starting out and you want to just like, hey, which horse plots the best? You just have to look at this V-bar, and we'll show you when we get into it. I mean, it's there, right? I mean, it's just a graph bar, and you see which horse has the highest. And there's labels now, so that point that out. So that was one of the things that feedback, especially for users that are new, how do they get to understand this stuff? And that's when we came up with the labels and the V-bars and stuff like that. So you'll see it as we go through it. It's easy to say, okay, I see they think that this horse has a pace advantage based on their plot. They don't have to read and try to interpret the plot. We recommend you do that, but you can evolve to that. You don't have to just do it on day one.
Yeah, and just talk a little bit conceptually. When you started to develop this, I know you wanted to try to focus on the fundamental keys of handicapping, right? Pace, speed, form cycles, things like that. Integrating all that stuff into a user platform is pretty tricky, but you've done a really good job of that. So just talk about that conceptually, about what you wanted to do when you created the product.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, people do speed figures very well, and I think there's some people that do class and very well, class ratings. I just think the areas where there was kind of missing was pace and form cycle. And so our two products, the plot, try to address the issue on pace, while notes, which is just not like trip notes. I mean, people just say, oh, it's trip notes. It's not. It's a completely proprietary system that we developed using keywords to make it more simple for people. And those keywords are backed by analytical, studies. Like after we look at these things and see how we're performing, and the people who do them very consistently.
Yeah.
And they're more than just trip notes, because we're doing some projections now where we think the horse may be suited distance-wise, where the horse may be, is improved on an improve. So they're very important and very easy to use, very easy to apply. And we'll show you some of those, and very easy to maybe identify a horse that may be going kind of below the radar. So we have a couple examples in the races, coming up today.
Yeah, it's funny.
And that was our impetus.
Yeah, I used to pride myself on being such a really good pace handicapper. Just using the form and the incremental splits and all that stuff. And then I see the plot and I go, oh my God, I thought I was good. I'm not even close. And then I'll sit there and I'll be looking at the plot and I'll be watching the race, and it's uncanny how the race unfolds, the way these horses are positioned on the plot. And like I said, we're going to get into it, and we're going to get into it really soon. I just want to ask you one more thing, because you selected 3 races today. When you're looking at a card using optics and working the platform, what are you looking for in terms of race selection? Are there certain criteria that you try to establish to know that, hey, this is the race that I need to get involved in?
Yeah, it's really simple some days. I mean, well, what I do is I look for, because our notes are so good, I look for our green keyword in the last race for a horse, maybe as a starting point sometimes. I mean, everyone has, I have different starting points, but that's one, and that's kind of the criteria I use. And I could show people how I did that, how I came up with that approach. And then that's how I got into race selection. Once I've gotten that, like I go and then I just kind of look at the race. And the second thing I look at after I say, hey, this horse looks like he may fly under the radar, is how do I assess the favorite? And then start my handicapping and start just kind of, drilling down from there.
Okay. And yeah, we'll talk about that when we get into each individual race. Before we do, Just wanted to share this, in my opinion, the most comprehensive handicapping product on the market. I second that. Aaron, glad you're watching and following along. Thanks so much. All right, we're going to see optics in action here. First off, we got a terrific 11 race Sunday card, close out the meet, full fields in every race, competitive racing, mandatory payouts in all of the pools. That includes the $1 pick six. So you absolutely want to get involved today. All money must go. You know, I sound like Crazy Eddie. Everything must go.
You're dating yourself now. Crazy
Eddie.
Eddie.
I'm dating myself with my gray beard here too. But 2 of the 3 races you want to talk about, John, are part of the pick six. So hopefully we can give some of the users out there a little bit of a advantage when putting their tickets together. All right, I'm going to hide this. The first race we're going to look at is race 5. But before we do that, I'm going to share my screen so that users can see when they enter the platform from the Data on Us registration from Del Mar website, exactly how it's going to go. And we're going to walk you through that so we can eventually get to race 5 and start talking about that. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Just bear with me. I think I'm going to do entire screen. Let's see. I'm going to share that. All right, hold on. Let me cancel that. Let's see. Sorry, bear with me here. We did actually practice this. So here, let me go to optics, login. That's what I want to do. Entire screen. Why won't that share? We really did practice this, John. Entire screen. Screen icon address bar. Okay. One more time. Here we go. You can confirm, right, John? We did practice this.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. So, all right, try that. Share. Okay, here, and then let's go to this.
There we go.
All right, third time's the charm. All right, so
just hide that. John, you want to hide that. Yeah, you just want to hide that bottom thing. Yeah.
Oh, this hard. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so when you get in, they're going to give you a link when you register, I guess, and all you have to do is go to Free Del Mar. That big green button, just got to click that. You don't need to sign in or anything like that. And what that's going to do is going to give you the 9. What is it? 10, I don't know how many races.
11.
You scroll down there. 11 races. Okay, car.
Right.
And what you have there is just basically what we call our selector page. So you're going to pick the race you want to look at, and we have 2 things. We have the plot and the grid notes, and those are the 2 things you're going to look at. If you scroll down, one of the products we're going to kind of focus in on. Scroll up. Scroll up. Yeah. One of the products we're going to focus on is Optics Focus, which is how I handicap the races and put them in. So you'll have that available to you too. Before we do that, I just you mentioned how do I select the races. So let's go to Optics Rod. And if you hover over before you click, Frank, it says find horses. And that's what I want to do. I want to find horses that maybe could go under the radar. So you click that and it'll bring up a table. And what I want to do is, I know that there's a particular thing. If you go under Optics Notes, Frank, and click the drop down, I don't know if people are going to be able to see this actually. Oh, yeah, good. So you click green keyword 1, GW1. And what the first one, Frank.
You want me to click that? Okay, yeah. There
click
you go.
It, yeah. And what that is it's going to bring up the horses that will have green keyword in the last race, which is a good angle. What you want to do is, Frank, just make sure we're on just Del Mar. I don't know. I guess it is.
Yeah, these 3 races.
Oh yeah, because that's right. We got it's perfect. So this is really for two of the 3 races. This is how I started for race. This maybe somebody got scratched here or something. For races 5. Yeah, that's how I kind of started. So that was one of the things. That was one way I started. And I drilled down. I kind of looked at the horse's odds, and you can see he had a BTL, which is a better than look trip last time. Easy to kind of look at, label, see it's green. We know it's good. And just when we go through all this information, the theme is green is good, red not so good. The darker, the better. So it's dark green is really good. Dark red's not very good. And then in between, there's like neutrals are like yellow and gray. Okay.
Right. So just visually, right off the bat, you can see
visually. Yeah. You can see there's
right
something.
Here.
There's something there. Okay. So let's go back out. Just arrow back, Frank.
Yeah.
Go back out to the main page here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go into focus because I already handicapped these races. And then from there, we'll be able to see some of the stuff that we talked about in terms of the pace tool and everything. So let's go to focus.
Just click on focus here.
Frank. Yeah. And so when you folks go into this, you'll see there's 3 races in there. The 3 races we're handicapping. We're going to start with race 5. And Frank, you just go to that line and you double click that line. And what it'll do is it'll launch focus for this race. Okay. And what focus is basically doing, I'm using it as all the information, that's all the content. We do the last 3 run lines. If you scroll down a little bit, Frank, and I'll come back up and explain the top. Yeah. Okay. So you just see we have the last 3 run lines of the horses and information about the horses, and then some handicapping comments below. You'll scroll back up, Frank. You'll notice on the top, the optics ranking. So I've ranked these horses. And what I've done is essentially, instead of giving you, I think the 3 could win, the 4 could win. I basically use these ratings to say that, I think a horse is a tier 1, 2, or 3 win contender. And then I rate horses as maybe trifecta. They could finish in the trifecta or they could finish in the exacta. And my rating, what I'm assuming in the rating is that the best the horse could do, right? It's a ceiling. So if I think a horse is like an exacta, I don't think he could win the race, but I think he could finish in the exacta.
Okay. And
when I do that, what we do is we basically create a fair odds based on the ratings of all the different horses. And you can see that in the 3rd or 4th column over, fair odds, Frank. Yeah, and you can see how we have this race kind of laid out, and those from top to bottom. And then to the right is the edge. And what we're doing right now is comparing the morning line to how we assess the fair odds. Okay. And so during the races, when the tote board is live, that will get adjusted to the live tote board. Okay.
Right. So you can see the edge between your fair odds and the actual odds, knowing if you have an advantage, an overlay or an underlay.
Right. I mean, it's good to tell me that, I like a particular horse, but at what price, right? What am I willing to accept? Yes. Do I have an edge? Do I not have an edge, right? So that's what this tool is attempting to do. So if you scroll down, you'll see that there's race notes. It's just basically a high level of what my assessment of the race. I think this is a playable race. I think it's narrowed down to several contenders. And my confidence level is about 50%. I'll probably get involved vertically in this race, exotic play. Just scroll back up again, Frank. I just want to do that. Okay, so the 3 contenders, there's 2 contenders. Oh, I'm sorry. There's 2 topper contenders, the 8 and the 3. And then I have 3 other contenders that are lower level contenders in this. And then everyone else is kind of up for grabs. What I'm trying to look for, too, again, is value. I'm looking for the green to the right. And initially, when I first do this, it looks like based on the morning line. The Showbiz Joy number 8, Phosphorus Essence is another horse that seems to be positive. And then I guess that's Hot Legs Ronald, the horses. Romolo?
Romolo, yeah. Hot Legs Romolo.
Romolo. Okay, Hot Legs Romolo. Those are the 3 horses. So let's just go down and let's talk about why the Showbiz Joy and Phosphorescence are horses that I like. Let's start with Phosphorescence.
Phosphorescence. Okay, the 3 horse Phosphorescence.
Yeah, he's a tier. So I rank him as a tier 2 minus contender. And you could, if you click to the right, if you say, John, you're full of BS, I think the horse is a throwout, or I think the horse's ceiling is an exacta. You can adjust that, and let's just do that for a second, Frank. Adjust it to an exacta. Go down to exacta. Say, yeah, I think the horse is an exacta. And you'll see the ratings change. The fair odds in that horse went from like 2.9 to 18.6. So you can adjust it yourself, and then the fair value will be based on your ratings up atop. Okay. But for now, it's 2 minus. You could change it to a 2.
It's 2 minus, right? Okay. Can I ask you, what do those tiers mean?
So it's really tier 1 contender. If you just kind of hover over it, Frank, you should be able to hover over it. Yeah, to the left, the big
over here,
the great green one. Yeah, it just tells you what it is. So it's a solid win contender. I guess you could equivalent, to Frank. You do the A, B, and C. I would say your tier 1s are A's, your tier 2s are B's, and tier 3s kind of, but not really. Okay,
not really. There's a lot more nuance in what you're doing than my
more nuance. It's more nuance. So what we have there, the reason why this horse is kind of interesting to me is a horse that it looked like should be suited for the distance. You can see there's 3 things to the right: speed, plot, and class. We talked about this. How do I know this horse is good on the plot? Oh, we're telling you, statistically, he's good on the plot. He's above plus. It's a green. That's the highest you can get. So, this is a horse that if you hover over the distance label down below in comments, and we try to do this with everything, Frank, is like
Yeah.
try to have a pop over so people can, instead of like, because it's hard to kind of like, oh, I got to look this up. Well, it's easier to just kind of hover over and you can see it. And so we just think with the added distance, this will help this horse. This horse has run this distance before. Stretching out seems to be suited for that. Sits a good plot. This is this is one of our main contenders.
Is that comment on the bottom, the distance, is that your designation, or does the platform does the program just kind of create that based on past notes and stuff?
Right now, it's not automated, but it will be automated in the future. So our idea for focus would, right now it's kind of selective. It's weekends, big races, but the idea would have it to be really expanded out and rolled out to more tracks and more days and all the rest. So right now that eventually will be automated. So that's what we're working on so that it's easier. So we have a set of rules why we think certain things, and that's one of them.
Okay.
So. And some of it, I still think I'm a classic handicapping. I think some of it is still like, you talked about, Frank, like getting to another platform because you're competing, your competition is different, right? Much more guys are doing the modeling stuff. And I still think there's kind of we're more of the retail side of us is more of a technology tool, classic handicapping platform. Yeah. Right, because you're still doing the classic handicapping platform, but you got some tools and things to help you through it. We're not just giving you all the answers in a black box, right? And, so that's kind of a differentiation.
And that's why it's so appealing because there's so many of us out there who enjoy the intellectual challenge of handicapping. It's just training our brains to handicap in a different way. Me being 53, of course, but the younger generation coming up, this is the first platform they're going to use. So the racing form, might not be relevant to them, or anything else might not be relevant to them because this is what they're, quote unquote, grow up using. So I love that. And it, like you said, it covers every aspect of traditional handicapping, but presented in a different way and with help from, the algorithms and whatnot that you guys have developed, for some of the automated stuff. So, I just love this. I was playing around with this, when you first told me that you guys were, had created this and were launching it, and just messing around with the odds is so edifying, because you have to be your value is so important. The markets are way too efficient, John. It's not like it was 10 years ago. These markets are so efficient. You have to be really, really tight with your numbers. And if you're constantly betting horses you like who are underlays, you're going to get ground down to a nub. So you really need to find those horses where you do have a little bit of an advantage.
But the other thing about this, sometimes it's good and sometimes bad. We've heard so many times that people say, "I'm a great handicapper, but a poor bettor."
Right.
This is going to put you to the test, right? Because you're actually going to assess how good you are.
Yeah.
How close you are to. Where you get value. Neshoba Joy is the horse that I think I liked. I've rated this horse the highest in the race. We saw when we looked at the keywords and stuff, he had a better than a looked effort last time. I think so. They had the excuse. I think the trainer's having a good meet. Carla Gaines having a very solid meet.
Great meet. Yes.
I just think with Talamo. Talamo, I'm not a pedigree person, but was on the mother when she won some big stakes races. Yeah. And I just think that this is a horse that just seems to be coming into this race in the right way. You can see, if you look at the alerts, Frank, to the right, and you can hover over those, this horse is second off the left. So you don't have to, there's a lot of information right there you don't have to worry about. We like the green keyword in the last race. That's a very key thing for us. And then just, again, this horse kind of on the improve the trip grade in the last. I just think the one thing I want to see this horse today, because when you look at the plot, this horse is a little bit behind. I just think this horse could be closer to the pace. If you hover over those optics notes, Frank, again, like when you see a little blue bubble, that means there's a note, extended note there. Yeah. And you can see that this horse the last couple of times was caught behind horses or held up behind horses. Like to see her a little bit, like to see him a little bit closer to the action, and hopefully, and you can see those like tactic minus, gets the rider change. hoping for a better suitability with this rider. And I think this horse is the value. I think the morning line is a little bit high, but we'll see.
Yeah, just talk a little bit about those keywords actually, and the database of keywords that you have, and you don't have to go over what they all mean, but what was the impetus behind doing that? And you have your team of expert trip note takers putting that information in, and it is really good.
Yeah, so there's two things, right? I mean, first of all, the biggest reason why we did the keywords, why we came up with the keywords, is how do you consume this, right? I mean, most traditional trip notes or charts, there's a big explanation of what happened to the horse. He was 3 wide, 4 wide. 90% of that's irrelevant.
Right.
So how do I consume that? How do I know if a trip is good or not? Well, two things with us. You have a grade that gives you a sense. Was this, a B is a winning race, an A is an exceptional race, and then kind of B minus, C plus or below, and C is like a bad race, total non-effort. So at least you give an assessment, okay, a visual assessment. That's easy, right? It's easier to consume. I'm reading, was the horse 3 wide on a track? Was the track playing the wide? Was it not playing the wide?
Right.
None of that stuff is relevant, right? It's irrelevant if the track is biased. So what we're trying to do here is give you all that kind of context, and that's what this does. And what we do is there's another thing. Okay, so good, you can do these keywords, but tell me how good is it? Does it work? And I'll tell you, based on analysis, when you see things like a green keyword or a red keyword, yes. I mean, the other ones are kind of, more nuanced, and you got to kind of look at them. But when you see a green keyword, especially in the last race, that's a very good indicator from a form cycle indicator that this horse, something to watch. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a green keyword in the last race and the horse is pitted in is put in the wrong spot or the wrong surface or distance and all the rest. But it's a great, at least trigger to start your handicapping and look, hey, this might be something.
You have that information based on years of collecting data. That's why you went with the keywords, because then you could actually kind of quantify, if a horse does get a BTL, over time, you could run the math and say, well, if it gets a BTL, it's going to improve X amount of times. And that's what makes it green, because it's a tried and true, a tried and true method for isolating a horse who's going to improve.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, now talk about the wagering side of stuff. So
let's go back up to the top so I can see that the overall table. See, the way I kind of look at the race again, and it may change, and down the road we'll probably have rules that'll figure this out once the live odds come. But just based on what I'm looking at, Neshoba's Joy is an A to me if I'm playing horizontally. If I'm playing vertically, that horse is a key. So I'm going to use that horse in first and second in all my vertical bets.
Okay.
The Phosphorescence is also an A, just not a key, but a horse I'm going to use, around Neshoba's Joy. And then I just thought that the 11 was a B, a potential exotic horse, exacta horse. Again, it all depends on how this unfolds in terms of the betting. Okay. And then there's some horses that I'm saying, hey, these horses can be potentially, trifecta bets. And I think we had another horse, the 6, as maybe a horse that we might want to use if you're going horizontal as a B. So that's kind of, again, we'll have to see how the kind of race unfolds, but that's kind of hopefully down the road, we're going to have this where it's tied to the actual ratings. So, and the live odds. But right now, based on the morning lines all have, this is kind of the way it looks.
So let's say the tote board is working in your favor, and everything you see in the odds pool is indicative of this is the race you're getting involved in. Give us a little advice on how you would actually play the race. Just maybe a specific wager or two. Win bet on Neshoba's Joy.
Yeah, win bet on Neshoba's Joy. Maybe if you look at the horizontals, a double or 2 races, that's a horse you want to use. With another, if you have a good opinion about the 4th or 6th race. If you're playing, like maybe pick 3s or pick 4s, pick 6 or something. I guess no pick 6 here. Pick 5. I would also want to use Phosphorescence as a horse. But I think basically I'm going to heavy exact 8-3. little less to that extent, maybe with the 11, maybe a little reversal with the 3, and then trifectors around like the 8 with the 3 and the 11. And
Okay.
then maybe, and the third slot, maybe using like the 9 and the 12 and some of those horses that are in the try. Again, depends on how all that unfolds.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the next race 9. But before we do, John, can I go off script a little bit? I know we're focused on optics focus.
Yeah.
But can I click on the plot just so the users can see?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's great.
So you can just, because this is this is what they're going to see if they're
excellent.
If you're using the platform and like, okay, this is what you got. This is your handicapping tool right here. So maybe just explain a little bit about this stuff so people have an idea.
Sure. So we're on the 5th race. Okay, great. So this is, when you look at this, the plot has 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, you're going to see your speed horses that like to be forwardly placed, which is upper left-hand side. So, Frank always did this. It was great. If you want to see where the horses might be when they're turning for home, you kind of look at that diagonal line, from left to right, right? So, the 12 is going to be forward. The 10 is going to be forward. When you start quadrants 2 and 4 to the right are horses that are going to have to come from behind. The higher you are, those are horses that maybe be able to have a little bit faster second call speed than the horses below. Your horses that are going to be lagging behind are in quadrant 4. And then quadrant 3 are like either a presser kind of horse or a horse that can stalk and, maybe second call speed's a little slow, but maybe can make it up with the late pace if it has good late pace. And how do we determine late pace? It's in the circles and squares. So circles have less late pace than squares, and the bigger the circle, the worse the slower they are late pace. The bigger the square, the faster they are for late pace. So the 10's got the 10, the 3, the 8, all horses that have good late pace in this race.
Yeah.
Now, the 10, I didn't talk about the 10 but anyway, it's a horse that has a lot of capability. I'm just thinking that this is a prep for this horse, first time, on the turf.
You see right here, coming off
that horse,
457-day layoff. So,
yeah, I'm just thinking. So that's why I'm looking more at this surface distance. So what we do is we plot these two things. We plot standard, which is all the races, more current form. And then to the right is surface and distance, specifically for a route on turf. You could also, Frank, if you see there's a drop down below that plot where you can change it to surface or just distance, just different ways to look at data. So it takes different run lines in and it plots things differently. But you can see that that's, from that plot perspective, the 8 has a big square. And that horse could, like I said, be a little bit closer. It looks like potentially he can. I think he's probably the best horse closing in late in that race. Okay. So the other thing to know about the plot, like I said, Frank, if you go up to the right-hand corner, scroll down. Yeah. So this is our V-bar. It's a summary. And what we do is it's just telling you from a plot, from a speed and class perspective, which horses kind of how they rank. Oh, if you want to go to the plot. No, just leave in summary, Frank.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what you do is click speed and click class. Click those buttons below. And no, below. Yeah, click those below. And the class too. And what this will just tell you, if you just say, well, statistically, which horse has kind of the better plots, and that's how you kind of look at that. So
right, and this adds them back in.
Yeah, statistically, so that's just another way to look at things. And again, if you look at if the table to the right, if you scroll to the table to the right, no, below, Frank.
All right, let me go back to summary. This here.
Yeah. You can see we kind of label the horses too, with a label. So again, green and yellow are better than red, and so that's just.
And these are the last two run lines.
If you hover over like Duran, if you go back, if you scroll a little bit to the left. Yeah. So now if you hover over Duran, you can see that where there's a blue outline that goes on that horse. So you can see where he is in the plot.
Right.
So it's kind of useful. And if you want to just go into Duran, you want to hold or any horse in the plot, go to the plot, Frank. arrow over the number 1, the plot, and just click it. Yeah, and what that'll do is just bring up a short run line for that horse if you just want to see some data, and then you just exit out of that, Frank, in the upper right hand.
Wow, it's
everything
incredible.
Everything is there. I mean, there's just it's going to take time. I don't want to fire hose too many people, but there's lots of good stuff there, and lots of good stuff to learn, and you can do it pretty quickly.
That's a great overview, and like I said, I mean, it is really intuitive. I mean, once you know what you're looking at and you know what all the features are, I mean, it's very intuitive. And like just right here, like you said, the circle squares, the pace. 3 and 8 look pretty good. The 4 maybe for exactas, maybe 5 for trifectas, and it's pretty intuitive. And we'll go back to the focus. Go ahead.
Yeah, you get just the point is you can get from anywhere back to anywhere, just arrow back, or you can go anywhere.
Yeah, this opened a new window.
It's all integrated.
I'm gonna go back here. Right.
So let's look at race 9. Yeah, we're back in the focus thing.
Yep. All right.
And this is the race where try to pronounce some of these horses, but I think that the top 3 horses I rated were, and I think this is the race comes down to these 3 horses. Scipio, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is the juvenile filly. This is the Del Mar Turf. So this is a pretty important race. It's a grade 3. So I was glad you chose this one.
So Scipio, I think, is good. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know if it's Italian.
Scipio.
Maybe it's pronounced differently. Okay. I think the other one's Encore Dove, something like that.
I'm Italian, John, so I know you're from the Bronx, so I don't think we're gonna. I don't know if I can't pronounce that.
But I think it's Encore Dove, something like that.
Okay.
And then Mischief River. I think the winner comes from one of those 3 horses. I've kind of ranked them. Scipio, I kind of like the best. If you scroll down, let's go down to let's start with Scipio.
Right here
again, and let the odds dictate. But I just think that this horse, debut suggested going longer. Now, here's the thing. He's the reason he's 12-1, I guess. And this is I never understand. This is a horse in the debut looked like needed more ground, and you could see the optics notes suggested that big gallop out, needed a stretch out. He's worked really well since that race. If you go up to number 1, who was in the same race, now he lost. He finished 3rd, and the horse that won that race is the number 1.
Right.
Right. Now, if you compare their odds, I think it was like 15-1 to 2-1 or 5-2. Like this horse was like 15 or 13-1. I don't hold me to it. It's something like that. And the other horse was 3-2-1. I understand the horse won, but again, we're talking about improvement in second out. This horse works a little you see the little substandard on the work since coming out of that race. Mullins was hot at the time, maybe still is, but I just think that the 8 has every reason to turn the tables just based on that. And the fact that he was so much more of a favorite, there was much more, I guess, promise or whatever, based on that morning line in the common race.
Yeah, so we also have Router as a comment here. So this is 2 turns. So based on the way the horse moves and maybe the way the horse is built, it's
So that to me looks like an opportunity. Today. It looks like a tremendous opportunity, and then fits on figures and everything. You can see like the second race improvement with the stretch out, very nice. The other horse, the Irish horse,
Encore Dove.
Encore Dove. Dove. So this horse, I watched the replay and came out of, I guess it's
Gowran,
with in Ireland. We had another horse at Del Mar recently. A saddler horse came in and blew horse's doors off. Come out of race there.
That is the track to keep an eye on. We've seen that a lot recently in Southern California. For some reason, the horses who come from that track and come here have run really, really well.
Any horse from Europe that comes here.
That's true, John.
I mean, what we see, they have, in this case, this horse, not so much, but we see that they have just, when you look at a race, they have just, their class ratings are just so far ahead. Our class ratings are so far ahead. This horse really not so much, but I watched the race, another strong gallop out, stretching it. This horse is another just suited for more. That race was 7 furlongs. I don't think this is going to be 8 furlongs is going to be right up this horse's wheelhouse. Yeah, just another major contender here.
And just an interesting note, this is a filly versus the boys. She was entered yesterday in the juvenile fillies turf. She was 10-1 on the morning line in that race. They scratched out of this for her to run here. She's 5-1. And I mean, look who's riding, Flavian Pratt, right? So this horse has to have some ability. And, you know, based on the notes that you have here, Gallop Plus and Stretch, I think that horse is absolutely live. I just thought it was interesting that they chose this spot instead of, you know, running her against her own sex. You see that with young horses.
Following Delmar. Yeah. And then the 10 looked pretty good. I mean, I just no knocks on that horse. Now, the thing is with the 10, is he in there? Okay. He's trying turf for the first time. But those figures are pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And the works on turf look pretty good. The work, you know, turf work looked good. So it looked like if this horse can handle it, it's definitely going to be a major contender too. So those three, I just don't see much above that. So you're going to have to wait on the price, you know, see where they all kind of end up, because I'm not trusting the morning line.
Okay, so you have the Scipio. Scipio is your A contender, and he's the horse you're going to keep.
I just think based on you know, Flavian, and I think they're going to bet the 3. They're going to bet the 10.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Yeah. I'm just guessing.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at the edge that you have on this horse with your fair odds compared to the morning line.
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess I missed it. So that's an error. I mean, that the 3 should be, you know, a B too.
Okay. So we'll make the 3 a B, and that's so A, B, B for the top 3 contenders. And then again, let's say that everything worked out to your advantage on the tote board. You know, give us a suggested wager so we can get heavy in this race.
The win bet based on that price.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I probably just do, you know, exacta with the 8 and the 3 and the. I guess I may include the 9, you know, in a trifecta too, and exactly. So maybe the 8 over the 1, 10, 9, something like that. And maybe just a 3, 10 over the 8 over, you know, 3, 9, yeah, something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to the last race. It's the nightcap. It's a really competitive $40,000 optional claimer, non-winners in one. I actually did this race for the Del Mar website. So if you want to see what I have to say about that race, you can go to dmtc.com, go to the handicapping page, find me, click on that, and you can read my horse-by-horse analysis. But I can tell you that John and I are kind of on the same page here. So actually, we're very much on the same page. But I'm going to let John walk us through this one.
Yeah, I guess I'm playing against the 3, Frank. And if you go to the number 3, it's was it?
Yes, as was I.
Yeah. So I mean, you can see the red. We say green's good, red's bad. So this horse, the last 2 races, no finish, and then a regress. So that horse is just, we think, probably peaked in that race.
Yeah,
ran a big race, and that might be set her back. So that's why we're kind of against that horse. I think the horse that I think is a long shot in this race got scratched, I guess, Frank, because I don't see the 4. That was my main play in this race. So that horse is gone. But the number 7 is, you know, the horse that I kind of landed on too.
Right. So everything gets automated based on the scratches.
Yes.
It's all real-time info.
Now, I mean, if certain horses get in on the AE, you have to go reevaluate.
Of course, yes.
So sometimes I do that, you know, so I'll do that today, you know, once the scratches are final. So look for an update to this if you're using this as we go through, because I guess, you know, that'll happen. But yeah, for the most part, it all self-adjusts. I just thought the 7 second race in the form cycle is any kind of improvement. Makes this horse a major contender. Barnes having a solid meet, and you know, the horse is good and fast enough. You know, above on class. Not a lot. I mean, not much to hate on this horse.
Yeah, she was my top pick. I don't think we'll get 8-1, but
yeah, no way.
Yeah, but I still think she might offer a little bit of value. I think she's sitting on a big race just like you do.
And I guess the 12
your fair odds are 2-1 here compared to the 8-1 morning line. So.
Yeah, but with the 4 scratching, yeah, like that, and then I guess the 12 was the other horse that I thought was someone to look at. Yeah, I just thought this is the horse coming from France, I believe.
Yep.
Don't have really maybe this horse is won over there.
Yeah, it's won
You
a
lay
couple
out
of
the question
races.
mark. So I prefer the 7 to the 12 in this case. So I'd be trying to do something to like maybe the late double or with the 7, or let's go back up. Is there anything? I think the 5 might be some value, Frank, underneath, just in a kind of an exacta
Yeah,
position. Yeah.
right.
So the 5, and then maybe the 9 too. Some horses maybe underneath you might want to look at, coupling the 7. I'm so not sure the 12. Like what if either 12 runs or doesn't run? That's the one concern I have. Like, does this horse like not show up or wins, kind of thing?
Let's put optics focus into real time action. I'm assuming the 13 is going to get in. Let's grade the 13. What should we put the 13
Okay.
as?
Yeah, probably like.
Because I think the 13 is a pace factor for sure.
Yeah, it's got a bub on class. I don't know. You want to put him as an exacta minus? I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't handicap it.
Let's try exacta minus. See what that does.
Yeah. So I mean, you see,
It's
still
fun
have an
to mess
edge.
around with this stuff, just to.
It really is. The thing right now, your ratings don't get saved. So once you leave and come back, it goes back to our ratings, as far as the ranks. So you see the optics ranking table. When you're changing this, it does change the ratings up top.
Yeah, right here.
And in the table. Yeah.
So users can go in. This is fully interactive for the users today, but they have to stay within the focus screen in the race because, like you said, their changes won't save, but they have the ability to make the changes and grade their own horses accordingly.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Frank. What you want to do if you want to keep this and not mess with it and still stay in optics, go up to the tab. The Chrome tab or whatever it is. Right click it. Right click it.
So I'm right clicking on the focus that we're on. Okay.
Yeah, and then what you want to say is, you want to duplicate the tab.
Duplicate the tab. Okay, I just did.
Okay, so now if you want to go back into optics and go back to the selector page, you just hit the home page here, Frank. Oh yeah, you can do that. You can keep that up.
Keep the duplicate tab up. I'm on the duplicate tab right now. Okay.
Yep, keep that up. Go back to the other one. There's a bunch of different ways you can do that. Yeah, and then you can arrow back. If you want to get back to the
here, right? Okay.
So you still have your tab here. So when you click to the right, you still have the tab with your odds, and you can still go on and handicap away.
This is awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is terrific. I'm going to pop back into the studio here so I can see you. So I'm going to stop the screen unless there's anything else you want to show us. Anything on grid or anything like that? Like I know this plot history thing.
No, I mean, let me just, could we just do that for a second? So one of the questions we get all the time is, I want to look at the results and stuff. Well, you can look at the results on any horse. So what this is I call it plot performances. So you have the horses circled in red and where his plot position is, and gold is the winning on. And when we do plot results, gold is a win, silver is a place, and then bronze is a third. So you could see where your horse, if the horse ran first, second, or third, but also it shows you where the horse was in the plot. You may get a familiarity with how the plot works.
Yeah.
Also, you also might realize that horses maybe was up against it because of his plot position last time. Has a better plot position this time, maybe because he's dropping in class, trying a new distance. And by the way, Frank, if you scroll up, you can change. This is standard right now you're looking at, but you could change the standard to surface and distance.
Let's try that.
So all those things will change.
Yeah, look at that. That's so cool.
Yeah, I call that my plot picks, but it's plot history. That's
that's phenomenal because that gives you can kind of compare it to where the runners place today too, and same thing with the various speed ratings and the plot fit and the contention. Give you a real sense of.
Good way to learn the plot if you're new to it too, seeing where winners come from and all the rest. Yeah.
That is super cool. I love that feature. Yeah, you could just go down the rabbit hole and just get lost in all the stuff here. But thank you so much for taking the time, John, and sharing this. I'm going to stop the screen now unless I already did. Any final words for people out there who are going to use it today?
Yeah, just go slow. Just get familiar with it. There's a lot more stuff coming too. There's trainer stuff coming, and there's jockey stuff coming, and there's other stuff coming too. So I would say we're a full service provider of past performance data
Yeah.
information. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
and we continue to evolve. And yeah, just go to Optics EQ and try it out. I mean, especially today, you can't lose.
Right. It's free. I mean,
Free.
if you're ever
You
going to
got
try
access
it,
to the
today
whole.
would be the day.
We didn't give you. And there's so many other things in there. We didn't give you one thing. You have the whole access for Del Mar, specifically only for Del Mar. But we do that for all the other tracks that we cover.
Yeah.
But have at it.
And
Enjoy.
you're
Have some
constantly
fun.
adding new tracks. Everything's growing. I want to just say thank you, Stephen. Always liked optics. It continues to get better. Great product. Learned a lot today. Thanks, John. I think we all learned a lot, including myself, and I've been using optics for a very long time. So, John, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through this. I like your key horses today. Let's focus on it. Let's make some money. Thank you, everyone who's been watching all season, for all your kind words. It's been great. Sad that the meet's over, but hey, we'll be back again for the Breeders' Cup and the Del Mar Bing Crosby meet. Until then, as I always like to say, good luck to us, and let's make some money. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, John.
You're welcome, Frank. Thank you.